let's say, then do something. And if this, let me make it a bigger. If request query description is equal to undefined, then do something. I can combine these two if statements like this. So what it will check, if my username is undefined or to pipe, that means or. If this is undefined or my description is undefined, I want to send something back to my API. Response dot send. I will send username or description cannot be undefined. This is my response to API. After I do response send, immediately I have to write return. Now if you see, I have handled this undefined condition over here. So after my program executes this if statement, it knows that here it is always going to be a defined username and to-do description. So I will not get any error over here. Even I think I can remove these. Yeah. Okay, so here I am getting CG input of username and description. One more thing here, I have to, okay, so now I have CG input and username and description. So let's populate our store. I will create my store over here, which is going to be constant CG store. I have to make it different because it cannot be the same as CG store is equal to new CG store. This way I have created store, which is this variable. Now let's add something to do, to add this to do to this store. Sorry, I mistyped. CG store dot users. Before this, let's create it one by one. It is not CG store, but first I have to create CG. First I have to create to do because I am receiving description in to do. So my constant to do is equal to new CG to do. I have created to do, then to do dot description is going to be CG input dot to do description. To do is created in memory. I'm not going to set the flag because if I go over here, if I control and click on this class name, I can see that completed flag by default will be set to false. So no need to set it explicitly over here. I just define that description is what the description is coming from CG input. Now I will create user. User is going to be new CG user. This time user is going to have a username which is my CG input dot username. If you see, whenever I type dot, it will show me all available options over here. This is because of TypeScript. It gives me a very accurate code completion. Okay, so I've set username over here. I will also set the to do, which is this, but if I do it this way, it will not going to work. To do is this to do. It is not going to work. See, to do is what I have created, and I am saying that to do's is going to be a to do. And the problem is my this to do's is actually an array of CG to do, and this to do is the array, and I can push to these arrays. So instead of assigning value of the to do which I have created, I will just have to push it. Push to do. So this is how we push to an array. Okay, so my to do I have created, user I have created. Now let's add this user in store. This is CG store dot users. How can I do it? Can anybody tell? User, will it work? Hello, is there anyone?
Madam Sudarshan, what you're doing is now you've created the to do and this to do. Now you are adding a users.
Yeah, I'm adding user in CG store. So because users is the array of users, see, and I am
You
trying
have
to
to push.
assign user to array, I should actually be doing it like
Push.
this. Push user. Okay, I'm done with this. So when I supply username and description in this URL or API, I will be populating my CG store with the user with his to-dos. And then at last what I will do, I will just for just to get the reply back to a browser, I will send response. This time it's going to be a JSON of my. So what it will do, it will convert this CG store into a JSON object, and it will send back to browser. And last I will return. Whenever you send a response, you should make an habit of placing return. Now this is a simple API which we have created to populate CG store, but there is still one catch over here that I am not going to show you now. Let's do the testing of this API using Postman. I can run here npx tsc just to compile my server.ts into new server.js, and let's see if it runs. Node server.js, port number 8085. And now let's open Postman. You can download and install Postman from their official website. Let's go to postman.com. From here, download it and install. They will ask for you for your login. Create a login and sign into the Postman. It is free, and maybe some commercial features are available, but it should be okay for us. Let's go back to Postman. Here I will quickly create new workspace to do app. Oh, I have created team workspace. I shouldn't be creating team workspace. Let me check.
So,
Can I?
Sudarshan, where did this file come from now?
Sorry.
Where did this file come from now? Like, what
Uh,
did you click over there?
this file. Wait.
Uh-huh.
I will close this. This is not a file. This is our
Okay,
code
okay,
editor. Okay. Now what I
okay,
did, I have just searched for Postman, which is installed in my system. I'm
okay.
opening that Postman application, and which is this. You have to download Postman. If you want to test backend APIs, you should be using Postman. because it gives you some of the nice features to test your API that I'm going to show you
Sudarshan,
now. Yes.
Sudarshan, I think you'll have to tell Nashmita about API so that
Okay.
they can relate to what we are doing.
Just be with me. I will tell you what actually API is. I'm not going to tell you theory. I'm going to show it what it is. Okay. Just keep it aside. API is something which is currently not known. So just
Okay.
we have written this code over here, and let's do one thing. Without using Postman, let's try and run this endpoint. What does it mean by endpoint? So if I go to my browser, I know that my port is 8085 on which this app is running. I will go to browser and I will go to localhost 8085. This is our yesterday's example. It is showing sum is 0. Why? Because currently API is listening on the root. What does it mean? Root means there is an invisible slash over here. After 8085, there is an invisible slash, but we won't see it because it is the first element of the URL string, and there is nothing beyond that. That is the reason you don't see that slash. But when we put the slash over here, which is important, I am saying that whatever is after 8085 or whatever is after my domain name will execute, will be handled by this function, which is this function what I have written. But when I change this slash to slash add to do, I am telling my server to handle it differently. So 8085 will will be different than 1 minute. What is that? Add to do. Different than if I press add to do over here. So what it is doing? Add to do is another endpoint. So my first endpoint is slash, which is the basic root level endpoint. Then I am adding one keyword after the slash. I am making another endpoint. So I can supply something to this and get something out of it, and something altogether different to this endpoint and get something altogether different out of this endpoint. So this is my first API and this is my second API. Uh, I hope I
Okay.
am making it
So
clear.
you mean to say what I understand from the definition is that API is something which will give the result.
Perfect.
Maybe.
Yeah, give the
Okay.
result, and actually you will be creating URL out of it. So add to do and
Mm-hmm.
uh, lorem
If there is a
ipsum.
lyrum lip ipsum, then I'll get the output of that.
Yeah, output means you should write the
Yeah, I
code
should
to
be
handle this.
yeah, I should be writing a program for this
Yeah,
IPSUM
yeah,
differently.
yeah,
IRM. Okay.
yeah. Like here, I have to write it like this.